So what I would like to do is again just share out some things that are happening in the school, things that we're planning for, and then just have you all have we can have a conversation, ask questions. Um, if there's anything specific about a particular teacher, I'd ask that we do that offline and not mention any teachers' names or administrators' names. We can I have time afterwards. We have that can have that kind of conversation. So can you all hear me? Okay, all right. So I wrote down some notes. So we just finished up the second 6-week grading period, and hopefully everyone has, parents that are going to be viewing this, you have parent view, your student has student view. It is a big deal to stay on top of things, especially for our freshman students, because the year goes by so fast. They are able to get 4 credits. Next year, another 4 credits. And high school is a lot. It's fast paced. It's so much freedom for students, so it's very difficult for them to make the adjustment from all the controls and all of the adult support that they have in coming from middle school. So periodically, I do ask students, "Let's pull up your grades. Let's see how you're doing." And I tell them, they're like, "Oh," I said, "Well, remember, I can just look it up. It's all right here too." So we do want them to have agency and to have their own student view account so they can look up their own grades to see where they are and see how they're doing. We are planning an assembly for ninth and 10th graders before the end of this semester to be able to just do a check-in with them to see how they're coming along, if they have any specific particular questions, and also to make sure that they're fully informed about things like the pathways, um, what they need to be able to become a 10th grader, if they failed a class, what that means. Many times, what I'm finding is students think that they can't recover from a failing grade, and they absolutely can. We have course recovery. We have the Saturday, what do we call that? The power surge meetings. We have the Saturday power surge. Students come and get tutoring. So there are a lot of different ways. There's Edmonton where they can sit in on, have like a whole quarter or semester in a class to be able to make up those classes. So it's absolutely possible for them to recover and become a sophomore, even though right now it's listed as a freshman for those students who are a little bit older. So that's a really big deal. We're also getting ready to prepare for the end of course tests that the students have to take and the end of pathways tests. So students that are taking certain electives, they have to take an end of pathways test. And the big deal that many parents might not know, and I do the news with Mr. North 1 day a week, and I'll be there today at 1:15. And I've been trying to share this kind of information with the students. So, for example, for a pathway, there are about 12 pathways. They need to take 3 classes in a pathway. They have to pass those classes and then pass the end of pathway assessment. If they do that, they get a certificate that says that they're certified in that particular pathway, say, for example, marketing or audiovisual. And then at graduation, they get a cord. They can purchase a cord. So students can actually have like 3 pathways. What a wonderful way for them to prepare for what they want to study, right? To have that practice. And our teachers are professionals. They know exactly what they're doing. They've been doing it for a while. And so it's a great opportunity for our students to figure out what they want to study after high school. So that was my message last week to the students when I did the news. Um, let's see, and I'll probably today be talking about the end of course tests more specifically because we had our building leadership team meeting with our department chairs and administrators yesterday, and they each laid out a plan. I wanted to know what their plan was for how they're going to prepare the students for the end of course tests because those are coming up in December. So, how they're going to review, how they're going to, provide tutoring before school, after school, and so every department was able to share out their plan in that way. Um, Another thing to that I want to bring up is we're still trying to focus on those student incentives for not being tardy. So the nice thing, one of the best thing that I've found as a new principal here at Campbell is that our discipline is not what many other schools have to deal with. We don't have a lot of fights. We don't have a lot of drugs. Not saying it's zero, but it's not a lot of those kinds of things. It's tardies and it's skipping, which is not great, but those aren't violent acts against our students, right? But there are still safety concerns because if you're and educational ones, right? Because if you're not in class, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not learning, and you're getting into mischief, right? So the principal student advisory council, these students had to apply to get into this, and they also had to have a recommendation from a teacher. And we have about 35 to 40 students. We've met twice now. And so they decided that I think the middle of October through November the 11th, students who did not have any tardies are going to get a special reward. And we did it one time before where they got like a nice big bag of candy, and that's what the students decided. So that's what we're doing. And they'll get that before the Thanksgiving break. And I announce it periodically to remind the students. Um, we're just trying to make sure kids are in class. And everyone's supposed to have a pass. Every hallway has a special pass color. And so we're cognizant of that. We're also, we have dead time. So dead time, every class is 90 minutes. The first 15 minutes of every class and the last 15 minutes. And we have a building operational team. We have a building operational team of adults in the building, teachers that decide to be a part. Good morning, welcome. You're welcome. Sit wherever you like. Sit wherever you like. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And so the team made a nice, colorful poster that we just sent out to the teachers to put on their doors, on the back of their doors, as a reminder. Because what I was saying was just probably get into teaching and just kind of forget. So that's time that no student should be in the hallway. The first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes of class. And so we're trying to adhere to that as well. What we're also finding are students, when they do have a bathroom pass, they go to the vending machine. So what I've been saying is that, where's your vending machine pass? It's right here. Well, no, there is none. So there is no vending machine pass. We don't have a pass. So you're not honoring why your teacher let you out of class. So go back to class. What we don't want to do, and the operational team has brought this up, is having the vending machines off for like maybe second block, like when after about maybe 9 o'clock till about 11:15. Um, and so I'm thinking about it. I'm going to share that out with the Principal Student Advisory Council because that's going to make the students really upset. But and I have to also talk to the company because we get a lot of money from vending. And that's just from the snacks. That's not the drinks. And that helps pay for things like, for example, the school paid for all the cross country jackets, like hoodies for the kids, and things that teachers need and things that different organizations need. We can pay for it without an issue because we have to use those. We can use those kinds of discretionary funds. So we're thinking about it. The Principal Student Advisory Council, I'm going to address it with them. We're going to meet real soon. So that's just an issue of maybe shutting it down for a while because it's a draw. It's a draw for students to get out of class. And we need you in class, right? We need you in class. If you're not in class, you're not learning. And this is not a large percentage of students. It's a small percentage that are, just finding their way and taking their time. So those are some of the major issues that I wanted to share out with parents. So open conversation. You can raise your hand. I'll hand you the mic, and we can go from there. Any questions? Yes, sir. Hold on, hold on.
Thank you. So I've got a lot of questions. I won't try to. I'll try to give space. Yeah, taking notes. But the one that's the top of my mind right now are it's the buses. We're in the Smyrna area, far side. The bus gets there on average around 8 o'clock, 8:05. And so, that's weird. Look, so my question is one around the tardies, because the bulk of my son's tardies are first period, and we got to notice he's like the best of nerds, Jalen, right? Mark. So I'm trying to find out, is there a system for automatically erasing those tardies first, and then two, what do we have to do to support the school to get a better busing system or to figure something else out? Because yeah. Oh,
We got to keep remembering this, right? So sorry. Thank you so much, Ms. Romero. So We have an administrator in charge of buses along with a couple of our other staff members. The students get a pass, a special pass that's a different color every week just for buses, just for buses. And it has like a range of time for that for them to get to class. Just like I don't know if you heard, they call on the radio for all administrators, let us know how many buses we have out. I do the announcements every day at 8:30, sometimes 8:31. Today I did it a few minutes early because of this meeting, so I did 8:27. Normally it's 8:30, 8:31 on the nose. So I will say there are so many buses out. Based off of the bus transportation supervisor told us maybe a month ago that they were just able to hire 6 bus drivers. And what Cobb County has done, they've increased the amount of pay, right? So we know what COVID has done to a lot of professions, and bus drivers is one of them where they really couldn't find people to drive the buses. So kids are getting a special pass, a different color per week, and they're expected to get and the breakfast line is open, get your breakfast and go to class. And teachers know that the buses are out. So we can have a conversation to check into it. I can have Coach Shaner, he's one of our teachers who helps with the tardy issue. But they're getting a special pass, and that's excused. That's not supposed to be held against the student. Now, if the student, you think about it, also teachers, you get a text message, all buses are in. That's why, so the teachers who have it, they can also, because I don't do another announcement saying all buses are in, so that's another piece. But we can definitely talk offline. So the bus situation has gotten better. Um, the buses are leaving out of here before 4. They're out. It's gotten much better than it was at the beginning of the year, and of course, much better than it was last year. Okay, answer your question. Sure, sure. Okay. And what time is he getting to class? Do you know? Okay, okay, yeah. I got you. Yes.
Apparently, this teacher starts.
We can have a conversation. I can have a conversation with the teacher because, again, I'm saying over the PA every morning, 4 buses are out, 3 buses are out, 6 buses are out. So that we've asked teachers to do something that would not cause the child to miss instruction. The warm up, you can try to preview the previous day before you get into the meat of the instruction. So I can send an email to the teacher, ask them to stop doing that. That'll take care of that, I think. Okay. Any other questions?
I'll let somebody else.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? Yes, yes. Yes, absolutely.
So my daughter's a special education student, and we know instructional time is important for them. And we're actually not using the bus because they said the best they could do was to pick her up at 8:25, with school starting at 8:20. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. So we drive her. We're able to drive her, but I'm sure there's a bunch of students who are not. So just to kind of let you know about that.
Dr. Willis, who is our special education supervisor for our school. She's fabulous, by the way, and she sent me a text message on Monday or Tuesday saying, "Hey, we're having an issue with our special education buses. They're coming so late. Kids are missing breakfast." And I said, "Okay, we can fix that." So I just talked to the cafeteria manager. She said, "That's fine." So they needed open until 9, and so it'll be open until 9. But we didn't know that that was another piece of that. So that's been fixed as well. So the kids that come off the late bus, they can get their breakfast and go on to class. But it does give a time range. So, and then we've had at least 2 students that were somehow collecting them. Yeah, high school. Yeah, and so yes, they have to. You have to be a step ahead of high school kids, right? Well, middle school kids too. But anyway, they change the color every week, and they send out an email to the staff. The color for the week is whatever, and yes, yes. So that's how we try to step ahead of our high school students to make sure that they're yes, exactly, exactly. So yes, other questions, comments? This is your meeting, so yes, ma'am. No problem. No problem.
The first thing, because I know before school started and we came in for the meetings, you was stressing dress codes. I see, I'm a parent, I have a son, but still in all, some of these students that get dropped off or coming in on their own, the attire that they have on, for me, is not school appropriate. When I spoke to my son about it, he said, well, the teachers are supposed to send them to the office or whatever, whatever. Okay. Now, I walk around the area when I drop him off, and I do see other kids that they're hanging out where they're supposed to be inside. And that's taken from their learning time, as you said before. Is there something we can do? I know I don't want to get involved because a lot of things are happening. So, you mind your business, but still in all, it affects everyone in the community. The other issue that I have is parents are dropping their kids off in the street. They're not pulling in the driveway or Powder Spring and Ward. And it's a safety concern. And I came in last month and complained about it. And the secretary, she told me that you guys knew about it, and it's a private street, only unless there's an officer that can see them. A few mornings they had an officer at the top of the hill on Ward, but that's every now and then. So even on Ward, their parents, they just get out. And like one morning, they didn't even wait for their kid to cross the street. They kept going. And I was like, are you kidding me? So those are some of my issues for right now.
Making a note so that for the news that I do for the parents on Sunday, so I can have this. Let me just finish that note up, okay, and I'll answer your question. The dress code question, that was first. What we said when we met with students, we met with every grade level at the beginning of the year, and we asked students to not sag. We asked and we asked young ladies and young men, cover up the three B's, bellies, butts, and bosoms, kind of thing. It's like, and I got that from other high school principals. And what we did was what I see. I'll tell you what I see. Most of our young men, what we do is we just say, kind of whisper, "Hey, young, could you pull your pants up, please?" And they do it. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. They do it. With our young ladies, they do have their bellies up, but they have on jackets. Um, it's such a cultural thing for our school. And so as the adult in the building, as a principal, as an administrator, you have to choose your battles and choose which hill you want to die on, so to speak. So my biggest priority is getting kids in school, in class. So in trying to build a relationship with students, trying to get to know them, and what I can tell you is not one student has been disrespectful. Not one. Part of it is I think why we attempt and I attempt to engage them in such a way that I'm respectful to them, and it's never a calling out or an embarrassing. But hey, sweetheart, could you? And they do it. They do it. Um, we've it's so many kids, and you're saying, okay, does this is this that important to address? So that's how I've trying to, and I think the teachers are the same. You're in class. I'm going to teach you. You're not being rude and disrespectful, so we're just going to move on, right? When it comes to the safety issue, I think if I'll make it prominent in the principal section and say, for the safety of your students and the safety of others, please do not do this. And I know parents are in a rush, but that your child may need to take the bus. I don't know, but please don't do this. So that's why these meetings to me are really important, because those things I didn't know that was happening. Because I get to work about 7:35 and I'm in the building from then. I'm walking around, doing what I'm doing. So I'm not out there in the. So I appreciate you telling me that, and I think parents they're responsive when they know and when they're being asked to do something for the safety of their children and for the safety of other children as well. Okay, so thank you for that. Any other? Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any reason that the officer and the crossing guard aren't by the carpool consistently?
Which officer is out here? Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 So, are you talking about right in front of where the new sign is, where the new marquee is? Okay. Okay, right. Okay, okay, okay. I believe that Officer Cross is out there, and I'll find out. I'll write myself a note and find out what time, what is his start and end time, so I can let parents know that as well. Because we do have the two officers. We've asked for a third because we need one for the 2000 building, and the county is trying to get us one for that 2000 building.
So I have a special needs student with an intellectual disability, and I too have seen the policeman that's right in front of the entrance, and that's a concern of mine because ideally I'm walking her in now, but I'd like to be able to drop her off and have her walk in that crosswalk into the building. But my biggest fear is that someone's going to hit her because there is no, to your point, there's no one at the moment directing the traffic literally right in front of the school where all the kids walk. And I would not only say that's a concern for her, but for anyone. That, and it's like there's like two lines, and if there's like a car, I mean, you can't see the two cars. They can't see everyone. And my daughter's little too.
Thank you. I'll write myself a note about that. And matter of fact, I'll just send them an email right now so I can take care of it. Okay. That's taken care of. I just sent, can we talk about the crosswalk today so I can find out from them the time that they plan on being out there, and I can mention that in the Spartans news as well. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ah, mi pregunta es, perdón, no sé si ustedes tengan el problema de los celulares con los niños. ah, y mi pregunta es si podrían, que durante el tiempo que están en la escuela, tuviera el sistema de que los teléfonos estuvieran bloqueados, que no tengan acceso a él, porque, por ejemplo, yo puedo hacerlo en mi casa, pero en la escuela no tengo ese acceso. Y me preocupa bastante que el teléfono está siendo una distracción para mi hija. O sea, hablo por lo personal.
What I understood was that if we could have a rule in the school about cell phones, about okay, and not having them out in classes.
No, she wanted to see if it's a possibility then we can block the internet for the cellulars or for all the social media because she has a hard time with her daughter not being on task in classes because the phone is a distraction and she wants to see if there is anything that can be done for us to block the cellular.
So in many classes, teachers have a cubby for students to put their cell phones in. And I found out as I visit classrooms, some classrooms have that and some don't. And we really need to have it for all classrooms because what we're saying with that is some teachers value instruction and some teachers don't. And how you get that's what it appears, but that's not the case, right? And so another thing is, I know in some of the math classes, it would be that students, oh, I need my calculator, but there are calculators on the laptops that students could use, and teachers have calculators because when you take standardized tests, you don't get to use your cell phone. So that debunks that. And so we have a faculty meeting on November the 8th, and I will need to address that way because it needs to be a pervasive, a systematic way that when cell phones are off, there's no having them out in class. Even though what I've also learned though is that, and I'm going to get to the internet issue because I know that's really the question. Even though we know that, and I've seen it in some class, if a student forgets their laptop, they can go on their cell phones and do the assignment. So that's an issue. For blocking the internet and access, I don't know how we do that because we need it for so much. There are parental controls that there are certain apps you can put on your child's phone that you can see everything that they're doing. you can block certain things based on your own plan for the cell phone. I also suggest to parents that they have their students hand them the cell phones before they go to bed at night because they're using them all through the night and they're coming to school tired. So if my children are grown, but if my children were younger, I would have the controls and you'd give me your cell phone at night, hands down. I don't care, and you don't want to do it. I'm turning the service off. It's a hard deal, but those kind of hard lines have to be drawn because most of the issues that occur in school when it comes to confusion, almost fights, verbal altercations, it's Instagram. It's I sent you this message and you did this and you did this and I sent you this and I created this account for you and it's all those things that they're not really mature enough to manage right now. And the world says confusion is what's in and foolishness is what's in. And being mad at someone and talking bad about someone and not and not showing your face and making negative comments is what's in. So that's what our kids are following, unfortunately. And those that are, I don't want to say immature, but just I would say the spicy kids. They're spicy, so they want to be in the know. And I have a spicy one, I know, and she would have been. And she said, "Mom, it would have been. I would have gotten in trouble all the time." I said, "Honey, you just don't know. That phone would have." And I cell phones were out and I ran over her phone. I ran over it because she was making bad grades, and I got tired of taking it and hiding it. And her senior, I said, we're done. We're done. When you go to college, you can have a phone. But that's crazy mean. That's crazy. I ran over it with my car, and she was paying the bill, and I just got so tired of the up and down grades, and I just said, you don't get to have a cell phone till you get to college. But that's that was me because I was like, no, this is a privilege for me, and it's a different age, different time, but you we control as parents. You control way more than we follow through on, right? And they're not going to like you for a while. They're just not. And I think from 13 from 13 to about 19, it's a battle. And as a female with girls, it's a battle. Men with a son, it's a battle. Now we have both, two girls and a boy, and it's a battle. And I often thought about getting a T-shirt. I survived raising three kids because that's how you feel. That's absolutely how you feel. You feel that way. And then when they go off to college, and I think after that first year of college, when they come back, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so wonderful. Oh my gosh!" But it took a long time to hear that. It took a long time to hear that, and it took a lot of, "I don't like you," and then I would say, "I don't like you either." And I love you, but I don't like you, and that was the truth because they're just different beings and they don't understand and they're trying to exert their independence and they're getting influenced by their peers and they they want what they want and they don't understand that there are financial constraints to the home and they don't understand that you have all these other things to pay for and take care of, whether you have one child or three or five or whatever. There's still all the things that come out of your paycheck, right? And all the things that they have that you have to pay for. And also what we did, our children, when they turned 16 that summer, they had to work and they had to buy their own school clothes. And we bought school supplies and underwear. That's what I said. And my husband didn't agree, and I said, just I promise you it's going to be okay. And he's so happy we did it. He said, "Vanessa, I'm happy we did that." Because that's the only time that you're not going to have to pay for anything. Because when you get to college, you're going to have to kind of take care of yourself a little bit, right? So you're still under our care. I don't even care what you make. I don't care what you do with your money. I didn't ask. Buy what you want. That's the only time I felt like you could be frivolous with your money and not even care if you get fired. If you do, we got you. That's a learning lesson. How are we going to move forward, right? So that was what we did that I felt like was a big thing for our kids to start learning how to be a little responsible and learning the value of money and how it doesn't grow on trees and it's not endless and things are expensive and you have to be responsible with what you choose and getting up going to work in the summer. You didn't have to go to work during the school year, but summer you're gonna get and you're not gonna call in sick. You're gonna go to work. and it's going to be of your choosing. We didn't help anybody get a job, figure it out, but we are here to catch you. But that's just, yeah. But parents have the so much more control than we want to exert. And the cell phones are not the devil. They should not be turned off, but they should be managed. And what we don't do a good job of as adults is teaching our children how to manage this computer with all this information that they have. And because they can talk to anybody in the world, that's the scare for me. That's the deal, because they can communicate with anybody. So if you're not doing any kind of checking, and it's not that you don't trust your child, you're a child. So I know you don't know what's lurking out there for you. So I can't turn over your well-being to you because you're not mature enough, your brain hasn't fully developed, and I can't give you that responsibility because ultimately all of it comes back to me as a parent. It all comes back to me. If someone comes knocking at my door, it comes back to me. So I have to take control of that while giving you some freedom, some autonomy, some choices. So yeah, that's a I think that's a real hard part of parenting, and being assertive and having parameters and structure. It may not be your personality as a parent. It may not be your personality. So that's what makes it hard. And then your child may be strong-willed, that more than you bargained for. So that's what makes it hard too. But it's the internet piece. Those are my suggestions, senora. Okay, too. Okay, so
I just wanted to say with the cell phone thing because I had my child. He complains about a particular student. They're in two classes together. He stays on his phone and he says the teacher doesn't say anything during class time, test time, and I'm like, this is going on. I was like, why didn't you say something earlier? So I'm glad she brought that up because I truly forgot about that.
Question on academics. So, first question is, do you know the ratio of counselors to students? Is there? Wow. Okay. So, got it. So the pathways thing that you mentioned is the first time that I or my wife have ever heard of it. So I'm curious because my son is a 10th grader. Um, how do we get more information? So there's two questions. One, how do we get more information about the Pathways program and if it's right for him? And then also he's in AP. We're looking at AP chemistry, and we're already intimidated. We cannot help him. And so you mentioned the what is it, Power Surge? So I'm curious if there's support in Power Surge specifically for AP and getting ready for the test.
so I've been trying to figure out a way to share out information about the pathways, and I think I'm just going to send it all out on Sunday and just have it as a link. So I'm going to put that in my thing right now. And because it's how the pathways are set up, it lists the category and then the three classes students need to take in order to complete a pathway. No, no, but yeah, he's. Mm-hmm. So students have to complete a pathway and they get to choose their pathway. I'm just repeating what Mr. North said. So I will send out the pathway like the document to you, okay, with all the classes, so you can start thinking about it for your student, because we are going to be coming up with scheduling again soon. So great, probably is, yeah. So which pathway is he on? This. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll send that out for parents to start checking that with their students. And that was, like I said, when I did the news last week, I had Mr. North put them all to the bottom of the screen as I mentioned them. And I explained to the students, when you take 3, pass those tests, take the end of pathway tests, and you get a certificate, then at graduation you get the course. So that was very clearly stated. But students need to hear things more than once, right? And so that's why I want to have those assemblies with ninth and 10th graders, because that's one of the things I want to go over with them, in addition to having some 1 or 2 juniors or seniors speak to them about what they've learned along the way. And then this is perfect because I was trying to think, okay, so I'm sending out so much information to parents. I want this to be meaningful. And so I'll send out the link for pathways. And I can just leave it there, and it doesn't have to come off. And then just mention it, and then parents will have it to reference. Yep.
Hey, yeah, you can also go to the web page of the Campbell High School and go to the counselors, and they have listed all the pathways, all the requirements for graduation, so you can see those in there as well.
And I know sometimes websites are hard to navigate through, but that's so there's more than one way. But I'll just send it, and that way parents will have it to be able to reference back. Yes.
I'm a person, and so if I have a plan, I want to be able to sit down with who is accountable for helping me co-pilot my son to where he wants to be, right? And so I need to know how to. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, and I don't want to. Lofton. Yeah. We weren't supposed to be calling people's names out though. This is. Well, well, we love Miss Lofton. All right.
Just proud that I know all their names. Yes. Yeah.
Hi. Good. We've just moved here. She just started yesterday. I am super from a. We had 200 kids in Alabama in high school, so we've just come in here and it's like so overwhelming. I'm like, is there like a PTA like welcome pack? Like, hey, you go to school. Like, is they? Who do we need to talk to? Like, and then I heard him talk about the bus system because I'm trying to figure this out. So is it a good idea to send the kids to school on the bus or like getting to school? No. Okay. 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 Oh, I don't. It's a bus 2237. Does I don't know if anybody.
So what one of the parents say try to see, and the parent always say no, 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 no. So it depends. Yeah, yeah. And what I can tell you is that there are very few issues on the bus. That's another piece about high school versus middle school. Almost no bus issues. Kids get on the bus, they sit down. They want to just get home. They don't. They're not doing a lot of crazy. Yeah, earbuds. They're doing a lot. They're not doing a lot of crazy things on the bus. They're just trying to get home, trying to get to school. That's it. So try it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then maybe you can bring it to. Yes. It depends. It depends. It depends. Most do. That's the thing. So in the morning, we've gone from, and let's see, they call on the radio at about 8:20, 8:25, right after schools. So normally about 5 buses are out by 8:20, 25. Then by 8:35, all buses are in. So the kids are about 15 minutes late, but that's 5 out of 30 buses. Yes. Yeah, that's again, right. And then in the afternoon, by 3:45, they're all gone. Yeah, depends on your bus. Correct. Correct. But you get a special pass. The students get a special pass, so that it's not that tardy is not marked against them for being late. So try it for 2 or 3 days, and if your child is complaining or you feel aggravated by it, then just drop them off. And it depends on your work schedule too, if that works for you. Because yeah, so that's a piece. But welcome. And you're among friends. You're among friends here. You're among friends, and everybody, if all the parents feel your pain of high school is your child a ninth grader? Okay, ninth grader. So many of the parents are ninth grade parents too. Yeah, so you guys can exchange email addresses. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I have a freshman, and we've had very positive experiences. We do a lot of communication. I ask about, how does he feel about school safety? How does he feel, just from a teacher respect and all those kind of things. Everything's been very positive. My question is, I know that you have assemblies with the students. What are some of their concerns or things that they mention that they may need assistance with? We're in this climate, as you mentioned, about social media. You mentioned, at our school that fights are low and those type of issues. But what are some of their concerns? Have you heard? Mine may be one of the minor things, but in general, what are some of the students' concerns, and if there's any way that we can assist or help with those?
Thank you for that question. So the assemblies that we had at the beginning of the year, we had them with each grade level. They were all within the first 2 weeks of school. And it was my way of introducing myself to the students. The grade level administrators were there, the counselors were there. We had student government, they addressed the students, and we went over academic and behavioral expectations for the students. And so that was the main purpose. We really didn't hear from the students at that time. I think that's what you're saying is a good idea. I do want to hear from them with the assemblies I'm trying to plan for ninth and 10th, and how the ninth grade assembly is kind of a natural idea, right? But for 10th grade, how that came about, I was observing in Miss Lewis's class, students were doing a presentation, and she's a pathway teacher doing marketing, and they're in charge of the school store right out here, her third period marketing class. And so I was mentioning to the students at a particular table about the ninth grade assembly we were planning to do. And they said, well, 10th graders, we feel like we're the lost children, like we're in the middle. And I said, I don't want you to feel that way. So that's why I'm planning to meet with administrators tomorrow about doing a 10th grade assembly too, because think about it, they would be that way. Right, they're not freshmen, and everything is kind of based off of juniors and seniors, so to speak. We find the time and make the time to focus on our freshmen because they are new and because they haven't had this experience before. But 10th graders kind of get lost. So we're planning on doing a ninth and a 10th grade assembly. And what the students said they wanted, the few that I asked, because it was like I did the conversation, but with ninth graders, just kind of randomly sitting at a table, mentioning to some students who happen to be some males, and they said, well, could we have some free time too? Could we get a little bit of free time? And what they said was, could you all buy us something to eat like you did with the seniors? So what day was that? That was PSAT day when everybody was testing except for seniors. So we bought chicken biscuits or something for the seniors, and they had some other kind of snacks, and they got to go outside on the field for a while. So that's the plan for the ninth and the 10th grade. Not on the same day, not the same time, but to do that for them as well. Have a little meeting, have a little go outside and give them a little snack. And that's what they suggested. I said that's a good idea. So we're planning on that, trying to do it before the EOCs start. But we should, and we will be asking them some questions about their experience. Yeah, I thought it was Rand about their experience. These past couple months here at the school. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you came in, I'm sure you had your goals and you kind of assessed the school. What was the biggest challenge, specifically academically and maybe outside of academics, that you felt you were going to face coming in, and how are you progressing in your goals to improve it?
Thank you for that question. So what I did was try to meet with as many people as possible. I have met with every department chair, had the meetings with parents, all the student meetings, and also calling in the district accountability person who's over data. So what I anticipated was lots and lots of discipline. Being called here, called here, called there. That has not been the case, and I've been pleasantly and thankfully surprised about that. What we also found was what I also found was the performance with the EOCs. So on our strategic plan, the district has every school to do one, and so the two main goals for us is the use of CTLS, that's Co-op Teaching and Learning System, the assessment piece. That's one of our goals, and the other goal is to increase our end of course scores in Algebra 1. So, and that document was created with the input from our department chairs and from our administrators. And then so we have shared it with the staff. Um, Initially, when Dr. Katula came, he had mentioned, and it was for one semester of Algebra 1 scores, it was 35% students scoring at proficient and higher. But actually, when they combined the two semesters, is 23.6%. So what are we doing about that? We have been meeting with the math department. We have a position right now that's out there to hire a math coach. So we had one allotment for a clerk that we hadn't filled, so we converted that. You can convert allotments. So they tell you what the conversions equal. So one clerk equals half of a teacher. So we did that, and then we asked the county for half a teacher, and they gave it to us. And so that position was just posted this week. We also are trying to get some tutors in from some of the universities. It's a little bit on the expensive side for some of the tutoring agencies, but that's a component. And meeting more with the math department, looking at those, making sure that the instruction in those classrooms are what they need to be. And I like the way that it's set up because students who aren't eligible to take algebra when they first come to high school or who took it already as eighth graders, right? They come in taking foundations in Algebra 1, and the same teacher teaches. They may not have the same students, but the teachers who teach foundations also teach algebra. So that's a really good flowing plan. Another piece, we've also done learning walks where the county math department has come in to walk the classrooms with the department head and also the administrator in charge of math. And so we've done it with actually ELA, math, social studies, and science. Just making sure that instruction is, we can look at the glows and grows because there's a lot of high level instruction that is happening in the building. But we have to figure out, based on 2 years of COVID, we know things, trying to get, basically it's a reset, just resetting what instruction needs to look like. And so each one of those walks, I didn't walk with them because I didn't want the teachers to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being evaluated. That's because that's not what that's for. It's really just to see how things are going. It's not evaluative. But I was debriefed. So I sat on each one of the debriefings to take notes on, was there bell to bell instruction going on? Were kids, on their cell phones? Were teachers using the expectations that the county has? We also have asked every department, and they shared out yesterday in the department meeting. Every department has been asked to come up with instructional non-negotiables. So, like for math, they have, and we spent like eight or $9,000 purchasing 360 whiteboards. So, and just almost in every math class now, the whiteboards they're in every classroom, and teachers are expected to call kids up. It's like back to the old days, right? Going back up on the board, and so being able to see the problems, and that's a way to be able to provide feedback and check. So that's one of the things that the math department has decided on. Also using academic language in math. One other thing that and there's some other things too, but the other thing that we're doing, we're having a meeting. We set up a meeting on November the 8th with our two main feeders, Campbell and Griffin. And their eighth grade language arts and math teachers are coming here in the morning for an hour and a half to meet with our ninth grade math and ELA teachers. And we're going to have a vertical conversation about what are they saying when the kids come to them, and then what we're saying and how we can provide some alignment, like with that academic vocabulary. Don't teach kids this way because it's not helpful. Like using terms like flip, change, that's not academic language, and that's not going to help them for the long haul. So things like that. For math especially, is a new pathway for math classes that the state It's coming down from the state. So, you know, if you take this class and you take this honors class, this class, so we have to make sure that the teachers are very clear about that. And then we have to start sharing it out with parents and with students because it's different. It's for the students' benefit because they're bringing back like honors algebra and some of the other classes that they had taken away. So that's what we're doing. And we'll spend an hour and a half together. We'll provide them with snacks, but language arts will be in one department, one room, and math will be another. And the county ELA and math leaders will be here as well to help lead that conversation, to help look at the data, to help figure out where we need to go in order to increase our scores in algebra and actually across the board. We have really decent scores and really good scores in language arts and in social studies and okay in biology, but um, with algebra. And math is one of those subjects that parents like to tell their students to, oh, I was not good at math. But you would never tell your child you weren't good in reading. You would never say that. So and I'm glad I'm getting this opportunity on the camera as well. What I like to tell parents is that's not hereditary. That's not a hereditary trait that you're okay. This family we're just not good at math. No, you're setting your child up to think that they can't do it. And math is a language. It's just a language, right? It's a language, and it's a different way of thinking. It's helping students to think logically, and they have to make the attempts. And really simple. If you come to class first, just a few simple tips. Come to class. Pay attention. Do the work. And if you really struggle in math, because some people really do they don't think that way, right? Do some extra problems. And you can at least come out with a maybe a low B or a C. But you don't have to fail a math class. And you have to have certain classes to graduate. You have to. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be a mathematician or a scientist, but education helps you think broadly. And you guys know that. So we have to encourage our students. It's a travesty that so many students have difficulty with Algebra 1. And if they thought about, and the way kids love money, we can sell them. We could sell them if we use some money language with them in order to transfer that knowledge. The way they love money, that's an easy sell. Because money is about math. But there's nothing you can do there's no profession you can do that doesn't involve math, even if it's looking at the clock. There's nothing that you can do. So if we sell it to them and not give them that inherent fear about it, because it's just another language. And you even if you're not going to go to college, even if you are, you're still gonna have to take college algebra. And if we can just get away from the fear. My husband is one of those people that he's a professor, and so but his math was never. I just can't. No, you have to. No, you have to do it. And I didn't let him tell that to our kids. I'm the math person in the home. So I was an accountant, but no, you can't. We're not doing that. They're going to do it, and they were fine. But no, we're not doing that. Just because you took 3 times to take college algebra, that doesn't have to be their story. But and some people really do. I just that block, and it doesn't because you would never say, "Well, we just don't read in this home." You would never say that. You would never ever, and it would not be allowable, right? Because we know that reading is what you have to do and that's where some of our kids also struggle. If you have a hard time reading, then you're going to have a hard time with the math problems because you can't do the reading part. And some of our kids, they can, they're really exceptional math students, but the reading part of completing a math problem is where they're inhibited and they have issues. So yes, ma'am.
We had a performance, but she held them back. They missed their second period class, and my son missed geometry. And I sent out a personal email because if she's going to be keeping them back, he will not be participating. So
It's a newer teacher, and so that was an error, and we apologize for that. Yeah, that was an error. So yeah, we fixed that. We apologize for that. So anything else? Yes.
So I know me and another parent, our kids are on the 504 plan, and we haven't heard anything about it. And with testing and like even the PSAT, I think they just just took. I didn't hear anything about accommodation. So is that coming down the line? Is that just transitioning?
We wouldn't have tried to implement anything through 504s for that was a mock test for your students, a ninth grader, for the PSAT. If they took the actual PSAT in 10th grade, we would have. But that was a mock test. Okay. So what grade is he in? He's in 10th. Okay. So he did have accommodation for the PSAT this year? I got you. Yes, but if he took the mock one, we wouldn't have, because that would have been a ninth grade. That was a. I got you. Right. I got you. I understand what you're saying. So those are done. Our initial PSATs are done through our administrators, and then the recurring ones are done through the counselors. So can you send an email to Dr. Estes? I can give you her email. She's the administrator that's in charge of 504s, and so she can figure out who is going to be. He already has one, so it's going to be the counselor that's going to follow through with that. And so what I can tell you right now, the counselors are doing, they're feverishly trying to get plug away at, is they are responsible for meeting with all the juniors in the whole school before the end of the year. So those 7 counselors, that's what they have to do. So as a part of Cobb County's counseling, professional counseling program. So right now they're plugging away. Then I think they'll stop after December-ish, I think. And then they'll start back up like in February, March-ish. But that's a requirement. So, yeah. So that's why if I'll give you Dr. Estes' email. Excuse me. And then she can reach out to the counselor that's responsible, and then you can get a meeting. But it's a recurring one, so there'll be a counselor. Be doing that. You're welcome. It's a legal document for students who may need additional support, like some changes in how instruction may be handled, or even in how they're assessed. So it's not having an IEP, but it's a little bit, but it's a legal document for students who may need additional support. So there has to be a meeting to determine what the test results are, and then you have to have recurring meetings throughout the year. I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2. Do we have 1 or 2? One follow-up meeting throughout the year to make sure that things are being done the way they should be done and the child is progressing based on goals. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Is it 9:30? Oh, yeah. Okay, guys. Awesome. I hope you've enjoyed this. I do have a question to ask you. So I wasn't sure. I did this one in the morning. Would you like for them to be, because I would like to have them regularly throughout the year, maybe 4 or 5 more of these, right? Would you like to have the next one on an evening, and the next one in the morning, or you're fine? What should we do? That's an honest question that I want to hear from parents. Just keep it morning, and then just record it and have our link. Okay, morning is fine. This time is good. Okay, so this is November, so we'll do early December for the next one. I'll go ahead and figure out a date that'll work. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you. Hello, Campbell parents. If you have any questions, please send them to my email, vanessa.watkins@cobbk12.org. We're trying to figure out a way to get these live streamed, but please have a wonderful day, and thank you for your patience with us.